guys, Asher Rachel Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. A lot to get to in today's video, but really quickly, I just have to say thank you to all of you guys. Even if you clicked on it and then you clicked off like 2 seconds in, you're like, what is this dude talking about? But seriously, everybody who watched the video, everybody who left a personal kind of anecdote, a story, some of them very intimate, personal, harrowing in some cases as well, about your struggles, about your mental, about your ups, your downs, on my personal video called I'm Not Who You Think I Am. Just wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I was actually traveling the last few days, so I'm playing catch up here in Raid, which is the intent behind today's video, to catch you guys all up and to kind of give a state of Raid. But I had to start out on the personal note. It means more than anybody listening right now can imagine, reading through those comments, like basically unanimously positive or constructively positive. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, guys. Seriously. Okay, Raid. So as I said, I was traveling, so like I missed all the news, right? So what I want to do is play a little bit of catch up on, talk about the new fusion, whether or not I advise going for him. I've actually said to pass. I've been adamant about my passes in the last few fusions. So will this change today? Would stay tuned and find out, right? But also I want to give a little bit of a state of the game, right? A little bit, right? Honestly, I think that Faction Wars 2.0, which was the last update that we just got, right, in the game. And like, how are you guys enjoying it? First of all, like the majority of the player base can't enjoy it, right? Because they haven't even completed Faction Wars normal mode and gotten Lydia. But I feel like it was kind of a dud. I don't want to speak for everybody because it does give you something to do if you were endgame and you had nothing to do, right? And we need content in this game. Otherwise, we really check out. So I'm not like a hater on new repetitive-ish content, but it is that. Like even doing it from somebody who hasn't had many challenges because, well, I'm an endgame, spender, right? It still feels rather kind of like Curse City-ish, like, okay, gotta throw on a stun set and whatever and figure out who the heck I have and go over the same repetitive thing every single day for every single faction, It just like doesn't have that sticky factor to me, That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not telling anybody else how to feel about it, but I'm just kind of left kind of underwhelmed. Now, the community at large, though, I think a lot of people just find this content very inaccessible anyway, right? Like I want to enjoy this, but I have to build so many obscure champions that I don't have, or I just don't have the gear. It's way more difficult than a lot of people imagined it would be. And so I feel no matter what boat you're in, you either can't play it, or you can play it and it's boring, or you can play it and it's way too challenging and the bosses are overtuned. I think there's just like a lot of kind of meh about it, So I'm kind of a little bit let down by it right now. I feel like the game is in a little bit of a lull, I don't want to make it all about YouTube, but even views across every channel are fairly down on YouTube, And if you go to, even like the App Store data and stuff like that, right? From like Sensor Tower, you can see that the popularity is a little bit of a dip. This does happen around this time of year, though, to Raid every year. So I don't think it's anything absolutely shocking, but I think that players are kind of looking for something to really sink their teeth into. Now, we have this big event coming. We have a new fusion coming. So all this, to me, is good news, right? Is it the endgame solution? No, I think they need to go back and do what they said they were going to do, right? I think they need to go back and really take a little bit of time to give some love to Hydra, right? Fix up Hydra a little bit and maybe, again, solve some of these community pain points. I want to make sure I'm doing this in under, I'm close to the 100-turn count right now. Let's just make sure that we don't screw this up. I don't want to waste my keys or whatever and have to come back and do it later. 94, 95, oh no, 97, Estrid, can you, 98? Oh my word, here it is. Boom! 98 turns to get the 3-star rather. Okay, I digress. Anyway, I feel like we need something even beyond, fixing up things and quality of life. It's just my opinion, but I feel like I want a little something more, we've gotten in the last year and a half, we've gotten Chimera and Faction Wars hard mode and some solid quality of life changes in there. But I don't know about you guys. Let me know. I don't want to ramble too long about this, but like the state of raid to me is a little on the stale side. A little on the stale side, you know? So all this stuff will help, but I don't think it's exactly everything that we need right now to get super excited about the game, you know? So what do you guys think? Let me know. Are you enjoying Siege and Cursed City and Still Doom Tower? And what are you enjoying? What are you not enjoying? I feel like there's so much to do in the game that they in a way, they could just really focus on innovating on the features that they already have. Siege, Cursed City, you know, live arena, like that, friendly battles, stuff like that, right? That it might solve for some of those, that lack of, you know, I'm just not sure, you know, not sure right now about the state of the game. Again, this is my perspective as an endgame player, someone who's been playing the game almost since the beginning, you know, so would love to hear from you guys, especially newer players out there. You might have the opposite view that I do. It might not seem stale at all. You might be like, dude, chill with the new stuff. I can barely handle what's on my plate right now. So I'm very interested to read the comments on this one and hear from you guys. You know, how do you feel overall about, you know, what's your sentiment towards the game? All right, let's start with this fusion. So this fusion is a dwarf. He's legendary dwarf, attack, force. It's kind of like the old school fusion event. Now, fragment summons are a hell of a lot easier in my opinion. I actually went for, by the way, I mentioned him earlier. Even though I said he was a pass to me, I'd said in the same video that I'll probably go for him just to make a guide and see if I was right or wrong. And Ishiyama the Immovable, I'm going to alienate and piss off half the audience right now, but I stand by my initial take. Now that I have him, I still don't like him very much. I still don't think he's that good. And I'm sorry. I know that he could probably be a champion that could help a lot of players out there. So I'm not like totally hating on him. He's not the worst champion in the game, but I stand by my pass for most players unless you really needed a champion like that on him. I was underwhelmed, again, as an endgame player after I built him. I will have a guide out on him on my Raid Guides channel, though. So who's this dude? It's Tholin Foulbeard, okay? I'm not going to read the whole blurb, but if you guys want to read the blurb that Plarium put along with him, go ahead and pause or screenshot. But what does this dude do? Okay, a legendary force attack dwarf, as I said, an AoE on his A1. Can I zoom in here? Yes, I can. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, getting old, the old eyesight here, you know? AoE on the A1 before attacking has a 25% chance, booked up to what? We get 50% chance of placing the big version of Weaken for 2 turns. AoE on the A1 big version Weaken, sign me up. Has a 50% chance, or a 75 when booked, of placing Weaken for 2 turns if the target's from the Corrupted Alliance, or a boss, or a minion. Okay? Cannot be resisted on enemies from the Corrupted Alliance, or bosses, or minions. This is very interesting. Very powerful A1 here. Grants an extra turn if a weakened debuff was placed on all enemies by this skill. It feels like a very PvE-oriented move, but a strong one as well. He has a lot of synergy in all of his moves against the Corrupted Alliance, which we should probably cover right now really quickly, is a very freaking popular set of 4 factions in the game, right? The most popular, I would go as far to say. Demon Spawn, think of all the meta champions in Demon Spawn, all the meta champions in Undead Horde, one of the most popular and powerful factions in the game. Dark Elves, you could say the same thing. Knights Revenant certainly as well. So there's a lot of good champions when you think about the overall utility here. Okay, A2 is Back to the Abyss. Attack 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit will ignore 25% of the target's defense. If the target is from the Corrupted Alliance, a boss, or a minion, each hit ignores 50% of the target's defense instead. Each hit decreases the target's attack by 5%, stacks up to 25%. Also increases this champion's attack by 5%, up to 50%. A little Harima vibe in there with the escalating attack instead of defense. The ignored defense could be absolutely huge, both in the arena and outside the arena. It powers up over time for longer battles. I love this A2. We don't know the multipliers. I'm going to say that loud and clear. So nobody can definitively say this champion is a must-fuse or a must-have or an easy pass. No one can say that. I don't care who you are, okay? But it sounds good. Because ignore defense in this game is the biggest thing that we can get, right, in terms of damage escalation. All right, his Rabid Fury, his A3 abilities, and AoE ×2 hitter. This can be booked down to a 3-turn cooldown. Same thing with the A2. Before attacking, he brings his own increased attack for 2 turns. That's great. Each critical hit landed on the first hit increases the damage dealt on the second hit by 10%. Oof, that's nasty, huh? And in situations like Hydra, like really strong, you get 40% damage increase potentially. Ignores unkillable and shield buffs as well, which is an arena move, you know? Really strong. It sounds strong. I love that he sets himself up with his increased attack as well. And then Evil's Nightmare. This is where things get just nasty on this kit. And this is what really pushes it over the edge to, I think, for me, I would recommend, just based on what we can see, not under the hood on the multipliers, I would recommend probably going for this dude. Activates as A2, which is, is A1, the AoE on the A1, right? Activates Demon Breaker every 5th turn this champion takes. Again, more power through longer battles. Seems like he'll be good against the event dungeon as well, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. All right, activates that every 5th turn, okay? That's good for the weekend as well. Grants an extra turn if the weaken debuff is placed on all enemies by this skill. I wonder if that will proc the extra turn if you land the weaken on the activation. Anyway, enemies from the Corrupted Alliance, bosses and minions cannot land critical hits on this champion. Now, bosses and minions have a 15 to 50% chance to land a critical hit to begin with, so it's not that big of a factor. I mean, it's still a big factor, don't get me wrong, but it's really like insane in the arena as well, right? No one can land crits against this dude. That is interesting. That could be a meta changer. Increase ally attack in all battles by 30%. This is a very compelling fusion. I think best case scenario, it could be a Thor-like fusion. Maybe even better. Who knows? We just don't know the damage quite yet. But for me, I'm not passing. I missed on Thor, and it was a big mistake. Now, I don't mean to compare him to Thor, because he's quite different in a lot of ways, too. But I didn't go for a nuker, because nukers, a lot of people say, and they're right, are a dime a dozen. Do I really need another freaking attack-based nuker? He seems like he might be different. So I am going for this dude. Okay, that's the fusion. Let's talk quickly about all the other stuff that you may have missed, right? I'll have timestamps for all the stuff. I should have said that at the beginning of the video. Huh? Okay, guys, so you probably heard there's a new event dungeon coming to the game. I'm going to go over the Mythical boss, who they say is the first time that we'll encounter a Mythical boss in the game, but they totally forgot about Amos. And I think that just goes to show they should rework that dude. I mean, come on. He's one of the worst bosses, design-wise, I think, in the game. Anyway, we have Kurosa the Covetous. I'm going to go over a kit and give you some thoughts here in a moment, but really quickly on the event itself. We'll have the Mythical, the battle out. You guys are familiar with these event dungeons by now. I really love these event dungeons. I spent a lot of time in the event dungeons because we can get pinpoint gear, right? Again, pinpoint will be coming back for the 3rd time. First we had Odin, then we had Queen of Hearts, and now that we have Kurosa, okay? So I would advise everybody use your energy, try to, hoard your energy, try to farm a lot of the event dungeon, right? I mean, it's basic advice, but it's important because I don't know about you guys, but I always find myself regretting not farming more when the event dungeon comes to an end. Like when there's 1 week or a few days left, I'm always like, I wish I had farmed more. Relics, right? There'll be 8 new relics coming, and we don't have all the information on them yet. We have the Coalition event as well. The Coalition event is, let's take a look at it here. We don't have a lot of information, including the rewards, but basically it's a way to, I can show you the visual right now. It looks to be maybe a month-long event or so, and you can see there'll be repeat quests that reset every certain amount, a specific time, a few days or whatever. Kill 28 enemies in the arena, wins only, complete repeat quest 5 times. You earn these coins, it looks like, and then we have, let's see, do I have the other screenshot? Coalition event, rewards, quests, and top 100 players. We work as a community and as an individual on some of these quests as well. So it looks to be interesting, but it's hard to say without looking at the personal points, the rewards, and everything else. It's hard to say how awesome it is or not, but hey, it's something new, at least in terms of the event. So what about this Mythical? Now, I see a lot of speculation on Kurosa the Covetous, a demon spawn Mythical champion. Is she going to be available? Is she going to be maybe a fusion inside the game? What is she going to be, and how can we get her, right? That's the first thing that I ask, is how can we get our hands on this Mythical champion? Listen, Odin and Queen of Hearts, they were so tough to get. Are they going to do this with primal shards? Are they going to make primal? Are they going to do a 15x or a 10x or a progressive chance on primal shards? They've never done anything like that before. So what do you guys think? We have no idea how we're going to get her, but I know that with the other champions, they didn't make them easy to get Queen of Hearts or Odin. It certainly wasn't a fusion or anything like that. The fusions were the Thors, right? And we had Alice for free, we had Loki for free, we had Thor, and why am I totally drawing a blank? We had Cheshire Cat, we had the Mad Hatter. So for this event, I imagine it will take on the same type of complexity in terms of how things are structured. So the best champion, aka the mythical champion, that will be a very restrictive shard event. That will be very tough to get your hands on them. That's my guess, right? By the way, we should be due for a primal shard event in the next week or two, I would say. I would bet big money the next week or two for a primal shard event. They just released a bunch of information about 15x events. Right now, they obviously include primal shards. Never open a primal shard during a non-2x event. That's my advice for you guys, at least. Take it if you want, or don't take it. But we should have a 2x event coming up. I wonder if they'll make a 2x event with an escalating chance of getting Kurosa. That would be my guess. Because we're going to get a 2x event anyway, right? It's going to coincide with the fusion and everything going on anyway, right? Anyway, what does she do here? She looks nasty, right? She has two forms, obviously. She's a mythical. Now, her base form is all support, right? She's got a heal. She's got a cleanse on allies. She's got shields for days. She sets up increase attack, which her attack scales off heal, not in a bad Raglan way, but in a very good way, right? She has taunt. She has fortify. So 2 new buffs are being introduced in her kit. What do these buffs do? Well, I'll show you right now. The buffs fortify reduces any enemy ignore defense effects by 15 or 25%. Shatter, her other buff, increases a champion's ignore defense effects by 7.5 weak version or 15%. So Fortify mitigates ignore defense. Shatter increases ignore defense. So you can kind of see where the game is going with these buffs and debuffs. By the way, in case you missed them, there's so many extra buffs and debuffs going around in the game right now that I figured I would just include Ensnare and Fatigue, because we're starting to see these debuffs on relics as well, and it's good to get a refresher. Ensnare, any turn meter increase effects received by a champion with the Ensnare debuff will be reduced by 50 or 100% on the weak and the strong version. It's kind of spiderweb avatar. Fatigue. Champions under a fatigue debuff will receive a sleep debuff for 1 turn after using an active skill. If a champion with a fatigue debuff uses a skill that removes debuffs, the fatigue debuff will be removed and the sleep debuff will not be placed. So it's the fatigue is a delayed sleep. So now you're up to date with all the new buffs and debuffs, right? There's still a few from relics that are, also kind of newish. Anyway, won't get into all of those today. So back to Kurosa. So she does taunt, all this stuff. Look at this passive. 15% less damage for each alive ally. She seems like a tank and a half on her base form. But check this out. Instantly transforms this champion into their alt form whenever their last living ally is killed. That's where she becomes a vicious nuker. Here I'm kind of covering her, but there's the design. She looks very cool. Very Demon Spawn aesthetic, right? Who does she look like? I mean, is it Aranis or whatever? No. Who am I thinking of? Yeah. Maybe. They all have the same kind of headpiece, don't they? Anyway, I digress. You get a triple hitter, pure damage to all other enemies if you kill an enemy. Another AoE attack before attacking steals all buffs. Targets whose attack is lower than this champion's attack can't resist the effect. Also has a weaken debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist the effect. I like protection sets. A lot of protection against this. She has that shatter that we talked about, as well as an increased crit rate. That's going to be deadly. And then the true fear on all enemies for 1 turn. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower, again, can't resist with the extra turn mechanic. And check out this passive. Deals 15% more damage for each dead ally. Each critical hit boosts this champion's turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. Also, HP burn effects are going to be mitigated on her as well. Now, I will say that, where is it? Does it say it here? There's just like, I just want to be clear here because I'm seeing a lot of people say, dude, she's going to be so broken all over the place once you get her. Just keep in mind that some of these abilities she'll only have as a boss. Kind of like Queen of Hearts, kind of like Odin. They did stuff that the champions don't actually do in-game, so just be aware of that. For example, this Forge in Flames, she's now better protected from HP burn debuffs compared to previous bosses. She will only take 1% of her max HP as HP burn damage, unique to her as an event dungeon boss role, okay? So there are specific things that you can only use in the event dungeon. So there it is, guys. You've gotten now the full catch-up, as well as my little soapbox moment about the state of the game. Guys, I would love to hear from you guys. Are you excited for all this event stuff? What do you think of the fusion? What do you think of Faction Wars? What do you think of the game? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.